God's chosen ones, 3 mysterious eye marks that reveal a divine identity. I remember the first time it happened. Someone looked into my eyes and just began to cry. No words had been spoken, no stories exchanged, just a gaze, silent but sacred. First, I didn't understand it. Why strangers would pause, hold their breath, and stare like they were seeing something more. But then God whispered, "The eyes are the lamp of the body, but for my chosen ones, they're more than lamps. They're mirrors, they're windows, they're weapons of light. Some carry their calling in their voice, others carry it in their hands, but you carry it in your eyes. There are 3 marks heaven places on those it trusts deeply. Marks you can't fake. Marks you can't hide. If your eyes have ever comforted someone without a word, if people say you see through them, if you feel things just by looking at someone, you weren't imagining it. You were marked, chosen, entrusted. And if your soul whispered yes while reading this story was written in heaven with your name on it. They never told me it would be the eyes, not the hands that would heal, not the mouth that would preach, not the feet that would go where others wouldn't, but the eyes. The first time I noticed, I was just a child, maybe 7. Someone told me, "You look like you've been here before." I laughed it off. But something in me knew I had. As the years passed, I realized I wasn't like the others. I didn't just see faces. I saw feelings. I didn't just notice people. I discerned them. Their pain, their silence, their unspoken stories, all whispered back to me when our eyes met. It wasn't power. It wasn't pride. It was a burden, beautiful, heavy, holy. You began to wonder, why do some people break when I look at them? Why do I feel things I was never told? Why do I carry a light I never asked for? That's when I learned the truth. Some are chosen to speak. Some are chosen to serve. But a rare few are chosen to see. And if your eyes have ever made someone feel seen, healed, or whole without saying a word, you may be one of them. The ones God marked not with crowns, but with vision. The ones who don't need to shout, because their silence reveals more than sermons. If you've ever felt like your eyes carried something too deep for this world, you are not strange. You are not broken. You are not alone. You are chosen. And this story was written for the ones whose eyes remember what heaven looks like. Part 1. When light refuses to leave. They told her she had kind eyes, but what they didn't know was that her kindness wasn't taught, it was carried. Carried through nights when no one saw her cry, carried through disappointments that should have dimmed her. But there's a kind of light that doesn't come from laughter. It doesn't flicker like happiness. It stays even when the heart breaks, even when the tears fall, even when the room goes dark. That's the light she carried, and they saw it. Strangers whispered it. Children leaned into it. Even the dying clung to it. One man once said, "You have something in your eyes. It's like peace I've never felt." She didn't know how to explain it. She had no special makeup, no technique. But when people looked into her eyes, they saw something that reminded them of home. Not earth home, heaven home. That's what happens when you've spent time with God. Your soul begins to leak. Your eyes begin to glow. Not with sparkle, but substance. It's the light Moses carried when he came down the mountain. The shine he had to veil because it startled people. That kind of light doesn't fade with failure. It deepens in it. You carry the unmistakable shine when people feel better just by being near you. When your presence says, "You're safe now," without speaking. When even in your storm, someone else finds shelter in your gaze. But here's the truth. That shine, it's not yours. You didn't earn it. You didn't fake it. You survived into it. You were set on fire by God. And somehow, you never burned out. So now you carry that flame in your eyes. And if you've noticed people weeping when you look at them, if they say things like, "I don't know why, but I feel peace with you," that's not flattery. That's evidence. You're not just glowing. You've been marked. Part 2. She looked at me and I broke. It wasn't what she said, because she hadn't said a word. She simply looked at him, and he shattered. Tears. Not loud, not dramatic, just truth, spilling down his face like a dam finally cracked open. He had walked into the room with a smile rehearsed to perfection. His posture was strong, his laugh convincing. But the moment their eyes met, his armor collapsed. She saw it. Not the performance, not the presentation. She saw him, the version of him he had buried years ago. The one God still remembered. That's what happens when a chosen one is given the gift of sight. Not sight that judges. Sight that understands. Sight that recognizes the war behind the silence. It's a mark God gives carefully, because it's dangerous in the wrong hands. It's not about seeing secrets. It's about seeing souls. She never used her eyes to control, only to comfort, only to call the buried child inside someone to come home again. This is what discernment looks like when heaven is behind it. It doesn't accuse, it doesn't expose, it simply remembers. This gift is on you when people confess things they've never told a soul. When you look at someone and feel pain they haven't spoken. When you know something's wrong, not by logic, but by holy instinct. This isn't suspicion. It's spiritual perception. And with it comes a weight. Because seeing isn't always easy. Sometimes you see what you wish you didn't. Sometimes you carry burdens you didn't ask for. But God trusted you with it because He knew you'd pray, not pry. He knew you'd intercede, not interrupt. He knew you'd protect, not parade it. So when your eyes lock with someone and everything changes, when a single gaze does what no sermon could, you've stepped into something sacred. You're not just discerning the brokenness, you're revealing the belovedness. And that's why the devil fears your eyes. Because when you see, chains break, masks fall, and heaven gets the final word. Part 3. When strangers are drawn and demons flee. She never wanted attention. In fact, she avoided it intentionally. She preferred the corner of the room to the center of the stage. Preferred silence to spotlight. Preferred praying quietly behind the scenes rather than leading in front of others. But no matter how much she tried to disappear, people found her. At the grocery store, it was the cashier who stopped mid-scan and whispered, "I don't know what it is about you, but there's something different in your eyes." At the airport, it was the woman who sat next to her in silence for 3 minutes, then began to cry. No introduction, no small talk, just tears and a quiet confession. "I don't know you, but I feel safe here." That's when she began to understand. This wasn't about her personality. It wasn't about charm. It wasn't even about her kindness. It was something deeper, something sacred, something marked. From a young age, she knew she was different, but couldn't explain why. Animals gravitated toward her. Children followed her without fear. Strangers told her secrets they had never spoken aloud. And through it all, she thought maybe it was just a quirk. Strange coincidence, an unexplainable thread woven into her existence. Until one night, after an intense prayer, she heard it. Not audibly, but in her spirit. Clear, strong, holy. You don't carry popularity, you carry presence. It was divine magnetism, the third mark in the eyes of God's chosen ones. This magnetism isn't loud, it's not performance. It doesn't wear flashy robes or demand recognition. No. It's quiet. It's subtle. It moves like a breeze but shifts like a storm. It was the whisper of heaven wrapped in a human gaze. A stillness so deep the world goes silent when it walks in. Not because the person is powerful, but because the presence they carry is. She once sat in a hospital waiting room, cold, fluorescent, lifeless. A man across from her was rocking back and forth, clearly in distress. No one approached him. People avoided eye contact. Nurses passed by quickly, but she didn't even move. She just looked up. Her eyes met his, and something broke. He stopped shaking. His breath slowed. His shoulders dropped. He whispered, "Thank you," though she had said nothing. That's what divine magnetism does. It calms what chaos can't. It heals what words fail to reach. It enters without asking and stays without demanding. But let me tell you a secret. This magnetism isn't a trait. It's a transfer. Comes from time spent in the secret place, from kneeling when no one's watching, from weeping on the floor of your prayer closet, from allowing the oil of heaven to soak into your very being. The more you host His presence privately, the more you carry His presence publicly. You don't try to change atmospheres. You become one, and wherever you go, heaven goes with you. One day, she asked God, "Why do people always open up to me? Why do they come to me broken?" And God responded, "Because they're not coming to you. They're coming to me inside of you." That's when she understood this magnetism is not about being liked. It's about being assigned. She remembered the story of David, how a young shepherd boy, unknown, overlooked, was followed by soldiers into battle, not because of status, but because of the anointing in his eyes. It wasn't that David looked strong, it was that David had seen God. And when someone who has seen God looks at you, you see yourself differently too. That's the power of divine magnetism. It's not about gathering fans. It's about gathering the broken and bringing them back to the one who heals. But don't be mistaken. This gift comes with weight, because magnetism doesn't only attract the hungry. It also attracts the hurting, the wounded, even the demonic. She learned this the hard way. She once walked into a coffee shop, and a man seated in the corner visibly flinched when she entered. He began pacing, muttering, couldn't look her in the eye. She hadn't spoken, hadn't even glanced his way, but the spirit in him recognized the spirit in her. Demons always recognize divine carriers, because where true presence dwells, darkness cannot stay. And this is why some people will dislike you without cause. Why jealousy will find you even when you have nothing. Why some can't explain why they just don't vibe with you. It's not your personality, it's your presence. The divine mark is not always admired. It is misunderstood, misinterpreted, even hated. But it is also undeniable. When you have it, people will weep without knowing why. Children will run to you with open arms. Animals will lay at your feet. And yes, some will resist you fiercely, because the presence you carry reminds them of what they've been avoiding. She used to question it all. Me? Can't I just be normal? But then came the moment that changed her forever. A young girl, maybe 13, approached her after church. No introduction, no invitation. She simply whispered, "When you looked at me, I didn't want to die anymore." That was it. No sound, no counseling session, he yelled. Just a look and a shift in her soul. That's when she stopped apologizing for her gaze. You see, the magnetism in your eyes isn't yours. It's borrowed. It's holy. It's heaven's signature on your soul. It's what people in darkness are drawn to when they're ready to feel the light again. It's what lonely hearts feel when they stand next to you in a checkout line and suddenly exhale. It's what the lost sense when they walk into the room and say, I don't know what it is, but this place feels different. That different is you, or rather, him in you. Divine magnetism is a paradox. It draws people in and drives demons out. It softens the hardest hearts and stiffens the necks of those resisting God. It comforts the grieving and conveys prideful. It doesn't scream. It whispers like eternity. It doesn't flaunt. It flows like living water. And its only purpose is to guide people home. So if you're someone who's always found yourself accidentally ministering in places like hospital elevators, late-night bus stops, grocery aisles, family dinners, random park benches, it's not random, it's divine. If people start talking to you and say, I don't know why I'm telling you this, it's not coincidence. It's calling. You're not just a good listener. You are a living invitation, a walking sanctuary, a tabernacle in motion. You carry his fragrance without cologne, his message without a microphone, his healing without a degree. But here's the sacred warning. This magnetism is not for manipulation. It is not for performance. It is not to create personal followers. It is to point hearts to Christ. And when you try to use it for ego, it evaporates. This gift was not given for self-glory. It was given for soul rescue. You are a bridge, not a destination. A lighthouse, not a fortress. The mirror, not the sun. So when people look into your eyes, let them see hope, not hierarchy. Healing, not hype. Him, not you. She once prayed, God, help me guard what I carry. And heaven, you are a doorway. Treat your eyes like holy ground. So guard them, not just from what you look at, but from who you allow to look into you. Not everyone is ready for the weight your eyes carry. Sometimes you must be hidden, because divine magnetism, when exposed to mockers, becomes misunderstood. When shared too freely, it becomes draining. And when misused, it becomes dangerous. You don't need to lock yourself away, but you do need discernment. Every encounter is not your assignment. Some people are drawn to your fire just to extinguish it. But those who are hungry, those who are thirsty, those who've been walking in the dark for far too long, they will come. And when they do, you will know. So if you've always felt like you didn't fit in, if people stare, pause, or break down in your presence, if you felt rejected and revered, misunderstood and magnetizing, avoided and adored, all at once, this is why you carry divine magnetism, and you were never meant to hide it, only to honor it. Let your silence keep speaking. Let your eyes keep healing. Let your walk keep witnessing. Because there are souls who won't enter a church, but they'll sit next to you. There are hearts that won't read a Bible, but they'll read your eyes. There are spirits that won't listen to a sermon, but they'll listen to your stillness. So don't be ashamed of what you carry, because when strangers are drawn and demons flee, it's not because of you. It's because the God inside you just walked into the room. Your eyes were marked for a mission. So now you know. It wasn't random. It wasn't your imagination. that pull people feel when they see you. It's that softness in your gaze, that silent knowing that makes others unravel in your presence. It was never just personality, it was prophetic, because your eyes were marked with the unmistakable shine that survives even the darkest valleys, marked with the gift of sight to see what others hide and love them anyway, marked with divine magnetism, not to be admired, but to awaken the forgotten. And now, the choice is yours. Will you guard what heaven gave you? Will you use it to build bridges, not platforms? Will you let your eyes become a living sanctuary for the wounded who've never stepped inside a church? Because this isn't about being spiritual. This is about being sent. You're not just gifted. You're commissioned to look into the eyes of the forgotten and say without words, you're still seen, you're still loved, you still matter. Your eyes are not ornaments. They are instruments, portals of peace, windows of heaven, weapons of light. So let them shine, let them see, let them draw in the broken and reflect back the beauty of God. And when they ask, and what's different about you? Just smile, because you'll know, I am chosen, not by merit, but by mercy, and my eyes are evidence. If you've ever looked at someone and felt their pain before they spoke, if your presence brings peace, if you know your eyes were marked to carry God, comment below. My eyes were marked. I see with heaven now. Share this message with someone whose gaze carries glory, even if they don't know it yet. And if this word stirred your spirit and you believe this mission should continue, support the journey, be a part of what God is building. Details in the description. Because together, we are the lighthouses in the dark, and this world still needs light.